Fiscal prudence and the pursuit of a credible economic program. That was the first of 5 strategic priorities for the government from April 1, 2013 to March 31, 2014. The goal was to craft and implement programs that would reform the economy, contain public expenditure, and place Jamaica on a path to economic stability and growth. It was mission accomplished for the 2013-2014 financial year under strategic priority number 1.
Jamaica's application for a 4-year extended fund facility with the IMF was approved in the amount of 615.4 million SDR, special drawing rights, or approximately $958 million.
That announcement ended months of negotiations with the multilateral agency and marked the start of work to meet the quarterly quantitative targets and structural benchmarks outlined in the IMF agreement. As a result, Jamaica passed all 3 IMF tests in June, September, and December 2013, making way for this familiar statement.
The execution of the government budget for 2013-14 has been broadly on track. Overall policy implementation under the program remains strong.
Confirmations like that from the IMF led to the country receiving a total of $345.8 million under the agreement as at March 19, 2014. More money will be disbursed to Jamaica if it meets the January to March targets. An official announcement is expected in a few weeks. Until then, the Economic Program Oversight Committee, which was set up to oversee the IMF agreement, has said it's pleased with the government's performance so far.
I see the government doing what we said they must do. I think it is up to us now in the private sector, myself included, to do what we think is good business, which is to invest and to look out for opportunities.
The expansion in the economy for the fiscal year is helping to shore up investor confidence. After 6 consecutive quarters of decline, the economy recorded almost 1% growth in the July to September quarter and 1.4% from October to December. Once the figures are tallied, a similar expansion is expected for the January to March 2014 period. Jamaica's net international reserves NIR also increased in the fiscal year. The Bank of Jamaica reported that at the end of February, the NIR stood at over $1 billion. Single-digit inflation targets were also achieved, and the GOJ is expecting that inflation for the entire fiscal year will fall between 8.5% and 10.5%. Jamaica's debt was also reduced. The government announced that the debt to gross domestic product GDP ratio should fall by about 8% to 139%. The passing grades from the IMF in the 2013-2014 fiscal year positioned the country to receive additional money from the Inter-American Development Bank IDB and the European Union EU. In September 2013, Jamaica received a $951 million grant from the EU for direct budgetary support and $2.6 billion in grant funding to improve services in the health sector. 2 loan agreements valued at $140 million were also signed with the IDB in February 2014.
We are very cognizant that we need to continue our performance in all aspects of the program, and particularly in relation to the strengthening of our financial management capabilities within the government of Jamaica as a whole in order to facilitate these funds. There are no new taxes in this country.
As he opened the budget debate, the finance minister announced that for the fiscal year, steps would instead be taken to simplify the tax system, streamline the tax incentive program, and promote compliance.
It will involve legislative changes and greater powers for the tax authorities to go after the taxes due and secure it from the persons from whom those taxes are due.
The Revenue Administration Amendment Act, which was passed by the Lower House of Parliament in June 2013, allowed the Tax Administration Jamaica to implement mandatory electronic filing of tax returns for 3 main categories of persons effective March 1, 2014. Also, as at that date, self-employed persons started using the single SO3 form as opposed to multiple forms to file their tax returns. Omnibus legislation, which was passed in the House of Representatives on November 19, 2013, also bolstered the tax reform agenda. They supported a policy